Buddies, quick mental health check-in. It's been a minute since I've clocked in to the community to just rant and rave. So let's walk and talk. I hope in my absence, y'all have not been crashing out, as is the state of the world. We are in a crash out era, according to the internet. Now, the reason why I want to bring this up is because it really perplexes me how, not necessarily how, but it perplexes me why we are in this hypersensitive, cynical phase where social decorum is held to such a esteem that people are not allowed to express themselves anymore. People are not allowed to be open, vulnerable, state how they feel, talk about their experiences in life. And the reason why this is coming up is because all on my timeline, I am bombarded with Nicki Minaj, Love Island, and there's just so much discourse on it. And what's really just boggling to me is the fact that there's no grace for any of this. There's no humility when it comes to the perspective and the discourse that's online when it's about these topics. There's just so much bias, there's so much divisiveness, and there's this fucking bird acting a fucking fool in the goddamn tree. Shut up. Anyways, what I've witnessed and seen is just very disheartening, because what it's showing me is that there's such a disconnect in humanity in this current day. Now, I'm somebody who, as a millennial, has dealt with, the trauma that a lot of millennials have dealt with when it comes to dealing with people who are, taking their frustrations, their expectations, their overbearing nature on our generation. And we've had to deal with it. We are a product of a lot of trauma, and I feel like our generation has found ways to kind of process it and are addressing it. But the younger generation, they're a lot more sensitive, and I feel like they have kind of spearheaded this domain of just a certain level of sensitivity that is demanded to be seen and heard. Like, you can't just say or do anything. You have to be down with the socio-economic and political rules of engagement, in a sense. But what that does is it distracts from the fact that people are still dealing with stuff. People are still going through things, and they have the right to their journey. They have their right to their story. And instead of being so cynical and critical of people who are, venting or saying what they've been through and sharing it and addressing it with the public, they're condemned and they're shunned and they're judged for it. And that, to me, isn't a good sign. I remember growing up seeing certain industries as seeing certain industries with rose-colored glasses, right? Like seeing the music industry, seeing the film industry as this glamorous, just opulent space that, if you were lucky enough to be a part of, you were the chosen one and you were on a pedestal. And it wasn't until recently when certain artists became more vocal on their platforms about their experiences, explaining some of their frustration, some of the trauma, some of the shit that they've been through, which is, in my opinion, eye-opening. It's very heartfelt, and it's endearing to see somebody talk about, this is what I've been through, and that not all that glitters is gold. Now, of course, it's extended sometimes into these long, arduous rants, and it can be very chaotic. It can be very exhausting to kind of tune in. You tend to absorb and adopt a lot of those emotions when you're online and you see somebody constantly going in. But even with that being the case, it still is a testament to the fact that people are experiencing and dealing with shit. And that it's okay to allow somebody to vent and express their frustrations. For example, with Nicki Minaj, that lady goes in. All right, we've all seen it. I'm a fan, love her music, love the impact that she's had on the culture. I can't say that I fully understand everything that she's going on about, but I do respect the fact that she has found her voice and she's finding her way and navigating her mental health. And that, to me, deserves a lot more respect than is actually given to her. I feel like a lot of people are trying to judge and trying to shut her voice, and that is very unfair. Now, I'm not condoning her methods, her process, the things that she's saying, but the truth is, it's coming from a place of pain, it's coming from a place of injustice, and she wants it to be known that she's been done dirty. And that's okay. It's okay for somebody to express themselves. It's okay for somebody to say, hey, what's happened to me isn't right. And I want my targeted audience to know that, so that the people coming up behind me can understand what my journey has been like and what it might be like for them. And that I respect. So I think that we need to give each other a little bit more grace. We need to be a little bit more humble when somebody is sharing their story, sharing their perspective, instead of just being so quick to judge. Now that, to me, is what's fucked, is when we're so quick to judge and just shut down a person's voice because we don't like the way they're doing it. It's not our place to tell somebody how to find reconciliation and redemption. It's not our place. We all can relate to the fact that at some point we might have experienced something that felt unfair or wrong or unjust, and we would love to be seen and heard instead of being shut down and told that what we're doing is wrong. I know I've experienced that. And it's very frustrating when I know that I've experienced something that's been done wrong to me and people are trying to shut me up about it, or they're deflecting or they're dismissive to my experience and my story. I don't like that. And I feel like anybody else can relate to that. And then I think about this show, Love Island. I don't watch this show. I have no clue much about this show other than what I see online. And I can tell you from what I see online, I don't want to watch it. Because I remember my younger years watching shows like Flavor of Love, Love of New York, I Love New York, or For the Love of Rage. I remember those like love shows. The discourse was so much more fun and lighthearted. I remember talking about it with my friends who were also tuning in, and it was a lot of fun. Like a lot of jokes cracked about, the different episodes and the different scenarios that these contestants are going through. It was a very lighthearted humor to it. With Love Island, the things that I see are despicable to me. There's so much cynicism, there's so much critique, there's just so much like Debbie Downing, like downtrodden, just dumping energy, just like a dark cloud of high expectations. These kids are in their 20s. They're young. They're still going through life, still experiencing things, still dealing with their own trauma, their own shit that they've had to endure that's now being projected into this platform. And for the discourse to put these people on such a pedestal with such high expectations and just to be creating all this chaos around the choices they make is foul to me, and it makes me not want to tune in because I couldn't imagine the things that I had gone through in my 20s being put under a microscope and being subjected to such just harsh criticism and just such high expectations. Everybody goes through a phase in their younger years where they are learning and making mistakes. And what's common with everybody who is going through that phase in their early 20s and even younger and even in their 30s, whatever, is that we all have a story. There's a reason why we are the way we are. We are products of our environment. And when you do not have that information, when you lack that understanding, it can be very quick to judge, but it's also more humble to understand and to take into consideration that there is a reason why you don't fully connect with a person's choices, because there's a lack of understanding. And that lack of understanding is just that, a lack of understanding. So I really wish that we could get to a place where we are able to view these entertainers, these celebrities, and relate to their process, their struggle. You don't have to understand everything, but you can respect that they are experiencing something that is very relatable, and that the way they might be going about it might be a little bit different than how you might go about it, but it's still that human decency of knowing that, hey, there's a reason and a rhyme to the madness. And when you get down to the bottom of it, it's just a child who has been through a journey looking for redemption, looking for reconciliation, looking for love, looking for understanding, looking for acceptance. A lot of times that's all it is. We conflate it thinking that they're demanding things that are going to take something from us, but it's not taking anything other than just some time to sit, listen, resonate, and reflect. And that's what I want to share. I want to share that the community that we are creating as we progress through life is so dependent and contingent on us being able to relate and understand each other, and not just be so quick to judge and not be so quick to just throw out slander. And that's for everybody, including the people who are on these platforms saying what they're doing, well, saying and expressing, their frustrations. It's even up to them to also be able to reflect and understand that there is a better way to confront issues. There is a better way to handle injustices. It's not easy, but the better that we do to give grace to each other, the more we will progress as a society and head our methods and means of conflict resolution. So I hope that this message reaches all of you, any of you, some of you, none of you. I hope that there is a point that is reflected in this message that can just shed some light and also just give some reprieve. Thank you guys again for just sticking with me. I know my consistency isn't always the best, but I speak when I am, inspired. And this was a very inspiring topic for me. Ooh, something just went in my eye. All right, well, that is it, and I will talk to y'all soon.